Was Scylla and Tiamat becoming Alpha Titan specimens? Why did Godzilla chase around Scylla and hunted down Tiamat in the New Empire? Here in this video we will give you 6 simple reasons why both of these two titans that emerged in King of the Monsters met their end at the hands of the Alpha in this new movie. So let's talk a bit on their backgrounds first before getting into the main topic, their history from King of the Monsters, Dominion and GxK the Hunted, so that their motives would be more apparent and everything that we will list down will have more context to them. So let's get to it. Okay, Scylla is a cephalopod titan with crab-like limbs that are spiky, and she possesses an armored exoskeleton with a large bulbous shell on top of it, on top of her head, which houses her organs and of course her head if she has to retract inside of it to escape from danger. Her head and face look strangely like Cthulhu in a way, which adds to her ominous facade. She is 341 feet tall or 102 meters when measured at the top of her shell, not taking into consideration the long limbs which clearly go way above that. She was first discovered in Arizona by Monarch, and she awakens in KOTM at the behest of King Ghidorah, following the false king as her alpha, which would, as you would guess, anger and enrage the Big G. Then after the Boston battle, she bows down to Godzilla and follows his command to hibernate in Antarctica, where her liquid nitrogen emissions was stabilizing the oceanic temperatures. However, in Dominion she had broke the chain of command and was in search for radiation sources to feed on. She was prevented by Godzilla from doing so, which culminated in a short fight that saw her flee from the scene after wounding Godzilla, giving her a taste of rebellion and Titan blood. In GxK the Hunted, she would begin to feed on various nuclear power plants all over the world, and this act of defiance led to Godzilla pursuing her to end the threat to the balance of the natural order of things. Tiamat, on the other hand, is another titan that was not seen but described in King of the Monsters as one of the 17 titans that had been discovered by Monarch and later awakened by Ghidorah after the battle at Isla de Mara. She was first discovered hibernating and residing at the Monarch Outpost number 53 beneath Stone Mountain in the United States state of Georgia. She would be awakened and would follow the false king in their destruction of the human world. She would not appear in the end of the Boston battle, and her whereabouts would only be shown in the comics Godzilla Dominion. She is 847 feet or 258 meters long, with a serpentine dragon-like body full of sharp fins, 4 legs, and an ability to emit toxic fumes that blinds other attackers. In Dominion, when Godzilla was searching for his old lair after the destruction of the underwater city, he was attacked by this titan, and the two fought for a long time until Godzilla dragged her out of the water and defeated her. In the water though, the fight was highly in favor of Tiamat, which gives her the feeling of being able to defeat him and become an alpha if she had not been brought out of her element. So with the history being clear, let's get to the reasons why Godzilla had to take these two out in the New Empire. Reason number 1. Tiamat was growing rapidly in power. So Tiamat, after the battle in Dominion, had swam away from the location, and by 2027, Tiamat had taken up residence beneath the frozen Norwegian island of Kvitoya in the Arctic Ocean. Her lair was the largest stockpile of energy on the planet due to the electrically charged solar winds it absorbed. So there she resided and began to absorb and evolve. This is evident from her appearance in the New Empire. She was clearly emanating a magenta radiation aura as opposed to her bluish glow from Dominion. This was a threat that Godzilla had to take out before it becomes impossible to do so. Reason number 2. Scylla was growing in power as well, with her addiction to feeding on radiation from nuclear power plants. At first this was due to a decoy planned by a titan hunter called Raymond Martin in GxK the Hunted to distract Godzilla from his plans of building a mechanized titan and activating it. This decoy involved a nuclear meltdown in India, but surprisingly Scylla was the one that emerged and began to feed on the radiation in the Kudakulam nuclear power plant, using her emissions of nitrogen to cool down the leakage and absorb the radiation. She then went on a spree attacking the United Kingdom nuclear labs, an American nuclear missile base in Italy, and finally arriving in Rome. Just like Tiamat, she was also growing insanely with nuclear power and had to be stopped. She was becoming a threat to the natural order, and this highly irritated the Big G. Reason number 3. Tiamat had a resentment against Godzilla for snatching her lair in Dominion, and this, coupled with her increase in power from absorbing solar wind radiation in Kvitoya, would eventually lead her to be as powerful as Godzilla. This would kick off a more intense rivalry and, as they say, nip it in the bud before the toxic flower blooms and kills you, or something like that. She also views Godzilla as more of an enemy than her alpha, unlike Amhuluk or Behemoth, who quickly realizes their folly when they were stopped by the Big G in Behemoth's fiefdom in the Amazon jungle. They both bowed down to Godzilla. It is highly likely that she, as all other titans, were very sentient and would hold a deep grudge against someone or something that invades a place she calls home. Reason number 4. Scylla also had a resentment against Godzilla for preventing her from feeding in Dominion. As we discussed earlier, a while ago, Scylla feigned loyalty to Godzilla after the battle in Boston, and then later emerged in Dominion and GxK the Hunted in clear defiance of the Big G's orders. In Dominion, she was starving and was in search for radiation sources. She attempted to feed on a nuclear bomb in the ocean near Savannah, Georgia, putting her into conflict with the US Coast Guard. Godzilla soon arrived, and sensing Scylla would not give up her prize without a fight, he attacked her. This fight ended in Scylla defiantly standing up to the G-Man and at one point in time wrapping her tentacles all over his face, a tactic that she would again use in Rome, but towards tragic consequences. If given the chances, she would attack every nuclear power plant in the planet and all the nuclear stockpiles as well, thus growing in power with every successive feast and maybe in the end becoming an alpha specimen herself. Reason number 5. This is one of the more pressing reasons as to why Godzilla had to deal with Tiamat specifically. That is, lest she allies herself later on with the Scar King and becomes more of a threat than a nuisance. This is clearly the reason as to why Godzilla absorbed all the radiation from a French nuclear power plant and then proceeded to attack the Serpentine Dragon Titan. Imagine if the Scar King and Shimu had made landfall in the surface world and somehow Godzilla couldn't fend them off. He had to retreat back to the ocean. Their reign would be, of course, on land, but then even the ocean would be hostile to him with the emergence of a super-powered Tiamat. It's a game of Titan chess, if you can see, that had to be played with skill and precision. And lastly, reason number 6. So Godzilla had to evolve and absorb more radiation. Again, this reason coincides with the previous one. Godzilla was stated to have sensed the upcoming threat, and therefore with his crackling blue atomic energy, he needed Tiamat's lair to stabilize and absorb more to evolve into his next form. This is something that he desperately needed to do since in GvK, he experienced a beatdown by Mechagodzilla, thus making him realize that the dual threat from the Hollow Earth might be more than he can handle in his current form. So Tiamat's lair was a necessity, and he knew it would not be given up so easily. And also, time was of the essence. Therefore, the Titan had to be killed, lest it attacks him while he was evolving under ice and further delays his plan of evolution, which would have dire consequences to the world if Scar King and Shimu were to come to the surface a bit more earlier. So those are the 6 reasons why Scylla and Tiamat had to be taken out early in the new empire. They were becoming more like rivals and eventually like alpha titans themselves. Also, they might ally themselves with the Scar King in order to kill Godzilla, since they both view the Big G as more of an enemy rather than their king. Now, if you like this video, then watch this other one as well. And do check out our channel for other Monsterverse content. We might just have things you haven't seen before. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.